This conference will now be recorded.
We are ready to get going. If you're not here, let us know. But I'm going to start off with a statement. It's a right to know meeting checklist. And Leanne, if there's anything you need, any comments, please jump in.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
As chairman of the Tilton Zoning Board of Adjustments, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with the Governor's Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. If anyone is here, please mute your mute mics. Just shows the background noise. I'll continue. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone, access possibilities by video or electronic means. We are utilizing the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the Tilton Zoning Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting through dialing the phone number 1-866-699-4679 and using PIN 811-952-253. Also, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting via our website and the town kiosk located just outside Town Hall. Also providing a mechanism, for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone does have a problem, please call 617-286-4206 or email web@tiltonnh.org, both of which will be monitored during the meeting. Also, we will be adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and reschedule it at that time. If you're a member of the public, please, and you have a question, please write the question down. We will make time for public comment and questions during the meeting. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. And to start off the meeting, let's take a roll call attendance, which each member of the zoning board, please state their name, their presence, and also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So with that piece of business out of the way, my name is Jim Engel. I'm here alone, and any other zoning board members?
Scott Davis, I'm here alone.
Matt Gilman, I'm here with my son.
Any other zoning board members?
Brian Chapman, I'm here.
Hey, Brian.
Hi.
Is Eric here?
He
Okay.
appears to be, but his mic appears to be muted.
Oh, okay. Eric, can you hear us? If you can, unmute and let us know you're here.
Can you hear me now?
There you go, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, Eric Usinger here, no one present.
Okay, thank you. So that's 5 board members. That's attendance. So the first order of business before we get into the meat of the meeting is approving the minutes of the previous meeting, April 21st. Have all of the zoning board members received the minutes and been able to review them?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we ready to take a vote? If so, would someone make a motion?
I make a motion to vote on receiving the minutes and approving them.
Seconded.
Okay. So that's seconded. Who
Yeah, who
seconded that?
that?
It's okay.
Matt.
Matt. Okay, so it's seconded by Matt. Who made the proposal?
I did, Eric Usinger.
Okay, thank you. It'll be a lot easier when we're in person, but you know.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right, so all in favor of, any discussions about the minutes? Okay, no discussion, so we'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of zoning board meeting April 21st as presented?
Do you want?
Roll call vote. Yep.
Want me to call it? Okay.
Please, thank you.
Matt Gilman,
Aye.
Brian Chapman, Brian Chapman. You need to unmute. Brian, can you unmute? Brian, you need to unmute your. Oh,
He's
gone.
unmuted now.
Okay, Brian. No, he's gone. I'm going to skip. We'll go to Eric Usinger,
Yes, I do.
Scott Davis,
Yes.
and Jim Engel.
I approve.
And I'm going to go back for a minute to Brian Chapman. Are you there? Was that a yes, Brian? Okay. I can put that he was absent for the vote.
Okay, so that was a 4 affirmative.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Of course, that would be only Brian
Only
if he
him.
chose. Yeah, that's fine. Got to give me option.
Right.
All right, so the minutes have been approved. Is that correct to say, Leanne, because of that little technical glitch?
Yeah, we're okay. We're just going to put that Brian
Okay.
was absent. It'd be just as if
Okay.
he had stepped out of the room. So, because he's not there
Okay.
right now.
So minutes approved. Moving on. All right, the next order of business. The continuation of zoning board case 2002, LAL Properties 1, for the location of 80, 96, 108 East Main Street and 4, 6, and 10 Morrison Avenue. There are 2 variances requested that we're hearing at this time. And I'll turn it over to, I believe it's T.F. Moran at this point.
Hannah. Yep, it'd be Hannah. Yep.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Cronin. I was here with you at the prior meetings. Also with me here in this room is Hannah, who has done the great engineering work on this particular project. Joining us also is Tim Zuli and William Feinstein, the principals of Planet Hana that's proposed for this particular site. Just to give you a brief summary, when we were here before you the last time, we had a number of variances related to some setbacks, lighting, and various things that the board took up and voted favorably on. During the course of that presentation, there were two issues that appeared to be sticking points for both the board and for the abutters on Morrison. And that was the lower lot, which we proposed to access via Morrison. We were going to have lease returns and some other non-transitory vehicles that would be at that site, so the traffic counts would be reduced from about their existing 40 from the existing houses down to about 10. Notwithstanding that reduction, there was still legitimate concerns that we certainly understood and respected from the longtime residents there that really were not excited about any additional traffic being placed on Morrison, even if it presented a net reduction. So what we did at that meeting is said, let's not get caught up in these two issues. Let's table it. Let's give Hannah and her team an opportunity to meet with Tim and Bill, figure out what they could do to avoid use of Morrison, what it would cost, and how they could accomplish it based on the grades. So what you see up on the plan before you now is the new plan, the redesign that was done by Hannah that was specifically aimed at accomplishing the goal of minimizing impact in any traffic to Morrison. If you recall, the parking lot there that is facing Morrison that sits in the MU, the mixed use zone, that was much shorter, and there was a lower level parking lot that was going to be accessed by Morrison. One of the things that prevented doing this particular design in the first instance, other than cost, was the grade. There was substantial grade that was at that site flowing from the highway back towards the river. But Hannah and her team went back and took a look at it. They did need to add some retaining walls and increase the height of those. Certainly it will result in substantial more cost for both Bill and Tim, who were willing to take that cost on if it garnered the support of the Morrison folks and was acceptable to the ZBA. So as you see it now, there will be no access to Morrison. What we have is a very densely landscaped buffer along that corridor. You have blue spruce and some trees there. There is also, you'll see a congregate of 4 blue spruce that are designed specifically to block any views from that closest house in the corner of Morrison. When we look at the variances that are requested, one is to operate a auto sales and service in the mixed use zone. When you look at this particular plan, the actual function of the dealership is in the RG zone where it's allowed as a matter of right. The parking of vehicles, even if it were neighborhood business, would be allowed, but where it's connected to the dealership, a variance would be required. So that's one of the variances that we're seeking tonight, and it's essential to this project moving forward. The second variance that we're seeking is for a side setback off of Morrison. The setback on that side would be 20 feet by ordinance, and what we're looking is to allow 6 feet. And I say that, but I want to clarify it and give it some context. You know, the purpose of a setback is to provide separation between houses and to minimize overcrowding. And when you look at the distance, the 6 feet that's being measured is from the edge of right-of-way. Hannah has her red dot along that black line. That would be the lot line, so there's the shoulder of the road. And the distance from that lot line to the edge of that retaining wall, which you see is tapered at an angle based on best engineering practices, that's 6 feet. If you measure from the pavement out on Morrison to the pavement of the dealership, you're at or near the 20 feet that's required. So technically, a variance is in order. Practically, you're going to get that spacing that was called out for by the ordinance. Plus, you're going to get some substantial landscaping that's way above and beyond what I typically see in these types of projects. One of the things that I've learned since our last presentation, when I started to look a little deeper into this, that Planet Honda down in New Jersey, that's been recognized as one of the top dealerships for their environmental performance. And this particular facility will also be designed at the top level of Honda's environmental status. Excuse me, I have a little tickle in my throat. But what we're asking you tonight is to look favorably on the two variances so this project can go forward. I addressed the 5 criteria in the past, but I'm going to turn it over to Hannah here for a few moments to talk about the engineering, and I'll summarize with the 5 criteria.
Hello again, Hannah Giovannucci with TF Moran. As you remember, this is our 2-story auto dealership. When we were here before the board today, we presented this entire project and won approvals of several different variances and special exemptions. Today, I just want to focus on this half of the site because that is the only layout that has changed. So if we focus in on this side of our layout here, this lot over here, this is all vehicle storage lot. So as you can see on this rendering, most of this space is not going to be taken up except when there is an excess of vehicles in this entire lot. So this lot over here will be mainly used for duplicate vehicles, sometimes leasing vehicles, and this will all be accessed via this traffic signal over here. So we now have all traffic entering through East Main Street. In order to construct this raised lot, which is at the main level of the entire site, we're going to have this starting over here with a 4-foot retaining wall, which tapers down over towards this edge as a 12-foot wall. And as we continue down towards the back of the site, it becomes a 15-foot wall. So we will be doing a large amount of fill to accommodate for this, which is quite expensive along with the retaining wall. But we did hear the abutters feedback last time regarding the lighting, the landscaping, and the traffic on Morrison Ave. So we wanted to do the best we could to protect those interests. So as John mentioned, we have blue spruce, which are these bluish trees. These can grow quite tall and very wide. They look a bit like a Christmas tree. This is our retaining wall right here in this red, just so you can see the difference of where our landscaping is, because we kind of have a forest on the left side and we have a row of trees on the right as well. In addition, we have red maples, which are these trees right here, and we'll have a bit of arborvitae here to help protect and screen a little bit more of this 10-foot wall over on this side. In addition, we will have, can't really see it here, but there will be arborvitae right in the other side of the wall to also protect with lighting and shield the cars. A couple of crab trees and a couple of bloodgood trees over on these corners as well. So when we looked at we revisited our lighting, and I'm just going to flip over to a different plan, you'll notice all the changes that we have are going to be in red. Go to page 6. So page 6, everything that we change is in red. We have a light here, a light here, and a light right here. So these are the 3 lights that are going to be serving this storage vehicle lot. And now I just want to change over to now our lighting plan, which will show that we do not have a ton of lights that trespass over Morrison Avenue. For our lighting is on page 26. So you can see along this right of way, the way this is modeled is without any landscaping. So you can see over our property lines right here, there's hardly any light trespass, especially on this side over here. So in real world conditions with our row of trees planted on this side of the wall and our forest on this side of the wall, people in these residential houses shouldn't be seeing much more light than they already do with the lights that are currently on Morrison Ave here and here. So I think that we're meeting the intent of these regulations for proposing parking within this mixed-use area, as well as meeting the intent for providing some green space in here with respect to the 6-foot setback retaining wall. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to you for comments, questions.
I can address the 5 criteria quickly. The spirit and intent and the public interest prongs under Farrar versus Keene can be evaluated together. Certainly the public interest has been served by this amendment as we've addressed the concerns of Morrison, limited access to that road, which is not ideal in design and configuration. Also, this is a tax positive project by a long stretch. There'll be no burden on the schools and be minimal impact on any of the public service providers such as police and fire. This will be a state-of-the-art building built to all life safety codes and up to date with all of the current building codes and requirements. With respect to the other prong, the substantial justice prong, which is a balancing test, the harm to the applicant if these variances are denied is that this project will not go forward. They've made a great investment in this site because they think it'll be great to bring a Honda franchise to Tilton. They think it'll work for their business. They think it'll work for the community. And if they don't get these variances, this project will not be able to go forward because they won't be able to meet the necessary parking requirements. With respect to harm to the public, if the variances are granted, we don't see that any harm will be to the public. In fact, if this configuration is approved and the variances are granted, we think that the balance would tip very much in favor of the applicants because this is what the abutters called for. This is what their representatives asked for. We've checked with them and to see if this is something that meets with their approval, and it's our understanding that they're satisfied with this particular design. Would you look at the valuation prong? This is a business zone where auto dealerships are allowed for the most part, absent the mixed use component. And when you look at that particular issue, the whole corridor really is lined with business. With this new configuration, there'll be no negative impact to the value of surrounding properties. With respect to the hardship, you've already found a hardship with respect to this property and granting the variances at the prior meeting. So we believe that is also satisfied here. And the final test is whether or not the use is reasonable. We believe that this redesign, which eliminates access from Morrison and provides a very thick vegetative buffer, is more than reasonable and meets all of the criteria. We're happy to entertain any questions or comments that you have. Again, we ask you favorably and grant the variance this evening so this can go to the planning board for evaluation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also thank you for your efforts listening to the public and be willing to adjust and adapt. I'll go ahead and start it off with, I do have a few questions, and then I'll open up to other members of the board, the zoning board. And so I'll start off with, and just first to clarify, the only thing we're really considering at this point at this meeting is that on the screen right now, that section that's in the mixed use area, that's the only thing that's changed, the parking lot and those redesigns, and nothing else on the rest of the plan has been changed. So that's the only thing we're talking about and considering at this point, correct?
Correct. Everything else meets the variances. We did change more underground and utility stuff as per Keach Nordstrom comments.
Okay.
However, in terms of layout, this is the only thing that really changed. Everything else with parking and retaining walls are the same.
Yep. All right. Yeah, you said it earlier. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified for everyone in attendance. Okay, so regarding, yes.
Jim, can you hear me? Just as a point of order, we tabled both these variances at the last meeting. So you might want to start off with removing them from the table so that we can continue to discuss them.
Okay. All right. So then.
So if you just need to make a motion, you can make a motion on both of them together or one at a time. They were both tabled. I just double checked.
Okay.
Make sure that we tabled them.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
So, yes, I make a motion. I think we can do it both in the same time to
that's fine.
Remove both of these from the table and actively discuss them. So that's the motion. Do I have any seconds?
Seconded.
And who was that?
Matt.
Seconded by Matt. Okay. And we'll go ahead and vote, and I'll approve. Leanne, if you could, the roll call vote.
Yep, sure. Let me get to the list. So Eric Usinger,
I approve.
Matt Gilman,
In favor.
Get my list. I gotta go back up. Um, sorry.
That's okay.
Brian Chapman. We have new people. I'm not as Brian Chapman.
Yep. I'm going through the same thing.
I approve.
And Scott Davis
I approve.
and Jim Engel.
I approve also.
All right. Thank you for that point of order. Thanks.
No, thank you. I always appreciate that. So continuing on, regarding the 6-foot setback and that line of trees and shrubs and vegetation, could you speak a little bit more about the distance between the road and that vegetation and the wall, in how it relates to snow removal and the space allowed there for snow removal? Kind of give us an idea of the dimensions and distance.
Sure. Are you referring to snow removal for the Morrison side or the on-site side?
Oh, good question. No, the Morrison, the plowing of snow, snowbanks, things like that on Morrison.
Right. There will be plenty of room for the snowbanks to continue up until our property line. I think from edge of pavement to right of way is about 10 feet or more.
Okay.
So plows will be able to continue plowing along this street. And as you can see over here, we're bringing in the limits of the property over here. So this will all be grass-shaped.
Okay. All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, there'll be no change in the shoulder of the road. There'll be no encroachment onto the town's property and the shoulder of that road. So what the town has had the legal right to use for snow storage in the past will not be modified in any way.
Okay. All right. It's always good to clarify with just looking at drawings, so thank you.
Oh, good question.
So regarding the height of the wall, the retaining wall, it starts off at, I believe you said 4 foot and tapers up to about 10 foot, just on the side of the wall facing Morrison. Is that correct? Was that right?
Yep, close to 10.
Close to 10, okay. The lighting, the trees, the wall, how much of that is going, well, actually not the lighting, sorry. The vegetation, the wall, and so forth, how much of that is going to block view of cars, the building, the actual dealership structure? How much of that will be obscured from view because of the vegetation in the wall?
So let's ignore the left side of this retaining wall over here because that's where we do have a lot of dense shrubs.
Okay.
But over on this side as well, we have a significant number of trees as well. We have arborvitaes in this corner over here. We have tall trees over here, as well as 3 large crab trees and crab trees over here. So that should do a pretty good job at buffering. And then if we look at the left side of the retaining wall, these are all blue spruce, which are kind of like big Christmas trees, so that will help further. And then we also have this, I think it's called the red maple here and a red maple here, and then arborvitae here as well. So I think that should be quite sufficient at least at blocking the light, because again, we don't have a ton of light encroachment on this property side of the property. And as far as building as well, I think that should be a good job at buffering the building too.
I can say that having been out to the site many times, the view when this is built in landscape will be far superior to the view of those buildings that currently exist that will be going down. So what you're really going to have is a beautiful corridor there along Morrison that doesn't exist now and hasn't existed for a long time.
And just to put this into perspective too, the building from where Morrison is over 200 feet away.
Okay. All right. Anyone else on the board have any thoughts, questions, comments?
Jim, this is Scott Davis. I just have a question. You mentioned snow removal for the town, but what are they going to do with snow removal in that area?
In the Morrison area?
In the new parking area, are they going to dump it off the back of that lot? Or, because it's pretty steep off the back of that lot, and I'm just wondering where their intentions or their snow plan is.
With many of the car dealers we represent, if you've ever seen these folks in action after a snowstorm, it's pretty incredible on how they operate. And they generally find spots for them. They might reduce their inventory during the winter months to keep some space. And what they can't manage on site, they haul off. So a car dealer does not want snow obstacles in their lot. They want to have it clean and neat, and they generally do that. When you see this lot over to the side there, over by Morrison, again, that will be lease trade-ins and other cars, but certainly that can be managed to provide sufficient snow storage. Plus, they have the rear of the lot, those parking spaces, and some other spots that they could use.
And as for snow removal on Morrison, I think was part of your question. This property will not be responsible for anything on Morrison since there's no action on Morrison and it's a public way.
Right, understood.
One other quick question, Jim.
Yes.
We had granted a variance for the 116 spots. Do they still have 116 spots?
Yes.
You do, okay.
And who was that asking a question?
Scott.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, Eric Usinger. On what you're planting a bunch of shrubs. Are these going to be, like you're talking about a red maple, are we talking a sapling? Are we talking, what is exactly that you're planting for height-wise? And are we looking at 50 years from now they grow and block light? Or are we talking about when you're planting it that we're talking 15-foot trees, etc.?
We have caliber sizes for all these specifications. I'm not familiar with how big these trees are, but normally it's stuff that you find at a nursery, potentially a little bit bigger. So I'd imagine a lot of these trees are at least 8 feet tall.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Matt, Brian, anything?
I'm good so far. You guys are asking questions I had.
Okay.
Brian Chapney, I have no questions. Looks like they redesigned this beautifully.
All right. So far we've been talking about the setback variance and what that'll look like and how that will impact Morrison. Any thoughts along the line of the variance for the automotive sales and rental in the mixed-use district? Any questions regarding that variance request from the board, that is? Okay, I'll take that as a no question, no thoughts and comments at this point. That's all I know of or have at this point. I think if the board doesn't have any more questions, I'd like to open it up to public comment. Are there members of the public here? And if there are, you're welcome to comment.
Hey, Jim, did I hear them saying earlier that they've already spoken with representatives from Morrison Ave? Not that they can't talk now. I just was wondering if they had that feedback.
Okay, yeah, Hannah, could you speak to that? There was a comment that you've spoken with representatives of Morrison, or was that in regards to the last meeting?
Prior to and after the last meeting, there was some discussions with the folks in Morrison. In fact, one time during a site visit, a gentleman that lived there for a long time came out and made some suggestions for redesign, which look almost exactly like you see here on the plan. It's also my understanding that a selectman that was very active on the first draft and came and spoke at the prior meeting has also been presented with this particular plan and looked at it, was very pleased with it. I think Dennis Gaudet had an opportunity to speak with him, and he may be willing to share his comments.
Nice. Does that answer your question, Eric? Or excuse me, Matt. Sorry.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
I would just add that I did speak with John Scanlon, who was the selectman that reviewed this plan, and he was very happy with the changes that were made and felt good about the project.
Okay.
Pat Constantino here, Selectman.
Yes.
Love the plan. Great resolve. It's excellent. I really love it. Good resolve. Jane Alden, I'm here. I have no comment.
Okay. So I think at this point, again, I'll just make it available. Are there any members of the public here that have a comment and would like to say something? Okay. So we'll go ahead and close the public comment section. Let's see. So now I think we move on to motions. If anyone from the board has any other comments or thoughts, speak up. If not, we can go ahead to present motions and move towards voting.
Jim, do you want to go through the criteria though? Just
yes.
one at a time, like you usually do. Just to keep the record clean.
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks.
Always good. Yep. So the variance. So going through the 5 criteria for a variance, and I think we'll go ahead and speak to both requests together. The variance request for or from Article 4.3 to allow a parking lot with 6-foot setback where 20-foot is requested in the mixed-use zoning district, and also a variance is requested for Article 6, Appendix B, I, G, 1, automotive sales and retails to allow in the mixed-use district. So we'll speak of those collectively as we go through these variance criteria. So the first one being variances will not be, the variance or both variances will not be contrary to the public interest. How did we do this last time, Leanne? Did we speak as a group, or we didn't do a roll call approval or disapproval of these, did we? I forget.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, not on these. You tabled these. What's your question?
Right. No. I mean, the process of last time going through the variances, variance
You
criteria.
went through each one individually.
Okay, we did individually. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll keep with that trend.
Yeah.
So again, on the variance that the criteria that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Again, speaking of both of them together. Leanne, do you want to go through each member?
Yeah, I think you should just go through each number and just see if anyone has any comment on each criteria, so that you addressed each criteria. And if no one has a comment or objection, you just move along. I think that's fine. Okay. Just all so that you addressed all 5 and you met the letter of the law on that. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So I believe that, I feel that they are, neither variance request is contrary to public interest. Anyone else have any comment on the board?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim. I think it's pretty telling that we had such a big turnout from the residents on Morrison Ave last time, and there's no one here this time. That, to me, that speaks that they approve of what's been changed.
Yeah. Good comment.
I would agree. I would agree.
Okay.
I agree also, Jim.
All right. So moving on to number 2, the criteria that the spirit of the ordinance is observed. I agree that the developers and the applicants have tried to meet the spirit of the ordinance with meeting with the public and making these adjustments and redesigning. So yes, I believe that both of them meet with the spirit of the ordinance. Anyone else on the board?
I would second that. That is absolutely what I'm thinking right now, looking at the redesign. They've done a nice job of hearing from the public. It is a good one.
Okay. So substantial justice is done. So the loss to the individual versus the loss outweighed by the gain to the public, or the loss to the applicant outweighed by the gain to the public. I believe that it is very equitable between the two, both the public and the applicant, with the changes that are made. So I believe substantial justice is being done.
Yeah, I agree with you again, Jim. I think this kind of goes back to the same one. The people who stood to lose were the people on Morrison, and again, they seem to be happy with it.
Yeah. Their voices were heard. So yeah. Any other comments from the board? Okay, moving on. The values of the surrounding properties are not diminished. I agree that the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished by these changes and this property or this development being here, and they may even be improved, but I'm not a developer. But I think they are not diminished.
I would agree.
I think all 4 of them so far have been an improvement, Jim.
I would agree. Okay, moving on to the last criteria. The literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. I think it basically can be summed up this would not happen if we were if the ordinances were literally enforced. So that would be the hardship that I see. And the use of the property. So
I'm with you.
okay, so we've gone through the 5 criteria for deciding on a variance, and for both variance requests, we believe that they meet all 5 criteria. And so moving on to motions. I think we could, Leanne, do we want to motion and vote on individual or both of them?
I would encourage you to, it would just be cleaner if you just voted on both.
Okay, both together?
No, both individually.
Both individual.
Two
Okay.
separate. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's cleaner for the minutes and the record. Okay.
Makes sense.
All right.
Okay. So does anyone have a motion speaking to the number 1, a variance is requested for Article 4.3 or from Article 4.3? Does anyone have a motion for that variant or request?
Sure. I'll make a motion. We approve ZBA number 20-2, item number 1, a variance from Article 4.3.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Is that Matt?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Any discussion regarding that ordinance? Any seconds of that? Not
I'll
ordinance.
second
Sorry.
that.
Okay.
I'll
Who is
second
that?
Scott.
It was Scott that seconded it. Okay. So any comments regarding the motions on the table? Okay, that's a no. So we'll move on to the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the variance request, Article 4.3. The roll call vote, Leanne?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Eric Usinger,
I approve.
Scott Davis,
I approve.
Matt Gilman.
I approve.
Again, I gotta go back. Who am I forgetting?
Brian.
Brian. I'm sorry, Brian Chapman
I approve.
and Jim Engel.
I approve as well.
I got everybody right.
I believe so.
Yes.
Matt, Scott, Brian, Eric, and me.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. So that, any opposed? I have to make it available. But actually, do I have to make it available if all members voted?
No, everybody voted. If it's a roll call, you don't have, right? You already
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Roll call. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it seemed kind of odd. So that's approved. Moving on to the second one. Do we have a motion for the second item for ZBA 2002? I will make a motion that we approve the variance request from Article 6, Appendix B, IG1, automotive sales and retails to allow for mixed-use district. Any seconds?
I'll second that, Eric Usinger.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay, we'll move to a vote. Leanne?
Scott Davis,
I approve.
Matt Gilman,
I approve.
Brian Chapman,
I approve.
Eric Usinger,
I approve.
and Jim Engel.
I approve as well. All right, so that is affirmative. That passed as well. So that is everything.
That is.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Members of the board. Appreciate you working with us to get this done, and we're on to the planning board, and hopefully we will have success there. Thank you all.
All right.
Like
Thank you.
For all of their hard work on this and for your support. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So, I really do appreciate you listening to the public. Thank you.
We have learned a lot from COVID-19, and that's just another example of on the fly making it work, right?
That's right.
Thanks again.
Thank you all, and have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
So, members of the zoning board, moving on to other business. There is no other business that I'm aware of. Leanne?
There is no other business that I'm aware of.
So, the next would be to make a motion to adjourn. And I will do that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and that was who?
Scott.
Scott. Okay, I second that, Scott. This is Jim. All in favor? Do we have to do a roll call vote for all in favor?
Sure, might as
Okay.
well. Eric?
I approve.
Sorry. Brian Chapman?
I'm in favor.
Scott Davis?
Yes.
Matt Gilman?
Yes.
And Jim Engel.
I'm in favor.
All right, before everyone signs off, next month, hopefully, we will be maybe live. Right, Jeannie? Maybe we'll be back in town hall. We'll see. Let's fingers crossed that this is our last month of doing this.
Yeah, but you're doing this really well.
Yeah, nice job, everyone. I know this is difficult. You guys did a great job getting this plan through and approved and listening to the residents. So, yeah. All right, move on to planning. Thanks.
So last question regarding next month, and if we are live in person, is that going to be an email announcement or public? How is that going to be?
Yeah, I'll email you. I assume, if the town hall is open to the public, then obviously we'll be
Makes sense.
open. If the town hall is closed to the public, then we'll continue to do this remotely. So we'll just have to wait and see. I anticipate that hopefully by the middle to end of June, we'll be back live, but we'll see. Yeah, if we're open, we're open.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you much.
All right. Have a good night.
Hopefully see you later.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Bye.